I am here with Shelly Culbertson. Shelly and I have been friends for a long time. She's a superstar realtor and part of the Culbertson group with her husband, Dave, and they're a couple of assistants. They're an amazing group. We're so fortunate that they've recently joined our firm, but they've been rocking it for a long time in the industry. Shelly is a part of a organization, which I really think is a fantastic organization, the Ninja Group. So we've actually brought Ninja to our office a couple of times. So if you're not unfamiliar with Ninja, I'm going to let Shelly explain it. But Ninja is fantastic, really great training program you should all check out. And it happens to be that Shelly is so involved that she is now a certified Ninja coach. Shelly and I invited Shelly to come on the program because she is going to be talking to us about using a system that they encourage, which is the property review technique. And we were just talking before the program a couple of days ago about how successful it's been for their team this year. Shelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you got like 12 in escrow and 8 of those were from the property review, right?
Yep, 13 now and 9 are from the property review.
Oh, even better. So Shelly, I'm going to let you kind of give a little brief background on you and the Ninja program, and then we'll just dive in. We'll ask a couple questions and we'll kind of get rolling.
Yeah, you know, I'm just really excited. What I love about the Ninja program, it's all about they follow kind of the philosophy of a book called The Go-Giver, and it's all about you give more than you receive. And so that's part of why I'm sitting here today, just because I've had so much success with what we're going to talk about today that I'm just really excited because you know, with where times are right now with inventory, I really think it's kind of like Easter egg hunting right now in our database. There is so much inventory sitting in our database, and that if we could just access that inventory and get it through the market, this market will evolve some, and those thoughts of low inventory will go away. So, but Ninja Selling, I have been a part of it almost since I have been in real estate. I kind of floundered about for the first 6 months and stumbled upon a Ninja installation. And I will tell you, not only did my business change, but my life changed. And it's using the Ninja philosophy. I think the easiest way to put it is that it enables me to build not only a life, but a business that I just truly love and enjoy. So, you know, that's kind of the best way that I can package it all together.
So interesting, we're talking about low inventory. I just read a study this morning from the Zillow group that shows that they just did a survey of sellers, or homeowners, I should say. And the survey shows that 1 in 7 homeowners is considering selling in the next 3 years, and 42% are considering selling this year. So that's if you think about the population base of America, it's a massive amount of what we might call seller pent up demand, right? And so the technique you're going to share with us, I think, can help us tap into some of that, right?
So I love what you're saying. So let's put that in a perspective of our database. So let's say we have a database of 200 people. So with what you're saying right now, it is our job as a real estate trusted advisor is to go find those 1 in 7, which would equivalent to 14 people in our database that are ready to sell a piece of property this year, but they just may not know it yet.
Right. And then behind them, all the people they know that are also in that
yes,
right?
It's a plethora of listings.
More than we can handle. We just got to tap into it, right? So kind of walk us through how does this work?
So I'm going to take us kind of methodically through a process. I am definitely a process person. So basically, we call them real estate reviews. That's under the Ninja platform. That's what they're called. And they're just a very powerful way and very highly productive way of creating value in your real estate business. The philosophy behind it is that you're reaching out to your database, and you are reaching out to those people that have a high probability of either they've been in their house for a while, they have a lot of equity, or frankly, it's their home anniversary. And you're reaching out to those people and providing value by providing a real estate review. So kind of the number one goal of real estate reviews is not so much that we are going in there and trying to do a listing consultation, but what we are trying to do is, one, love on our people. picking up the phone, getting in relationship with our database. But the other piece is that we are providing value. So they see us as a trusted real estate advisor. So to kind of put it in a best way that I can give the example of, we all just are getting taxes done right now, correct?
Right. Yep.
Do we not sit down with our tax advisor, or at least get in contact with our tax advisor once a year? And what do? They give us advice, right?
Right. Consultation.
Yep. Some of the same thing with our financial advisors. We can even take it to such a basic level that you're seeing your doctor once a year for a checkup.
Yeah.
So if you think of the people in your database, sometimes the biggest investment they have is their home.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't we, as a real estate advisor, meet with them once a year and take them through a checkup of what their value is with their most important investment?
And I love what you're saying, that it's not about them selling necessarily. Of course, we are in search of that, and that will happen occasionally. But it's really becoming a service, becoming top of mind. And I also love what you said about the 1-year home anniversary. The biggest thing that we can do, I think, for a lot of realtors is to plug that in. We forget that at closing, that now that's the 1-year home anniversary every year, right? For a great value added call.
Yeah. And we actually have been doing this in our business for the last, I would say, 7 years. And it's gotten to a point of I rarely have people that live in their house for 7 years, because in doing this, they realize that with the equity they got built up, they got freedom to do so many other things.
Right.
But I would say after about the second year that we do this, they get to expect it. Dave was out doing pop buys yesterday, and we have somebody that he was talking to, and they said, "Oh yeah, we know our anniversary is coming up in June. You guys are going to come by and come see us, right? And give us our evaluation." So they get used to seeing that.
I love it.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
And I think what we often forget too is, if you don't give it to them, where are they going to go? They're going to go to Zillow, right? So we are combating that. That's going to war with our number one competitor.
Yep, exactly. So the question always goes, what is it? What's in there? So basically what the real estate review is, first off, it's not disguised as a listing consultation. So first off, if you're going in with the mindset that I'm going to talk them into listing their house, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Right.
The purpose in doing this is providing value to the people that you know, like, and trust. So it's a very simple market update of what's going on with their real estate holdings. So it's kind of a picture of what's going on in their neighborhood within the last few months. So it's not expected to be a full CMA. Basically what it is, it should take you less than about 10 minutes to prepare. And I'm going to take you guys through in a little bit kind of what we do. But we just do a really basic search on an NAR product called RPR that just pulls down basic information on the house. We do a very basic radius search of the house that shows what's listed, if there's any, pendings, and what's sold in the last 6 months. Because frankly, that's what they want to know about, because they're driving through that neighborhood, they're seeing the signs up, and they're wondering, what did that house sell for?
Right.
That's pretty much all that we put in it. We also put some local appreciation stats, anything that shows the local market and what's going on with it with appreciation. So that's pretty much simple. It's a simple packet. We also package it together in a nice folder because we don't want it thrown away.
Sure.
Sometimes
let me ask you this. So for those people that have never done this before, and this is like, this is a great idea, sounds fantastic. The first time you guys rolled this out to your database, did you call everybody in your database and offer? How'd you go through that process?
You are so good, because that was my next part of the process.
I led you right in.
It's like you have my agenda. So the next one is basically who do we do it to?
Right.
So obviously the easiest person who we started with in our database was past clients on home anniversaries.
Perfect.
That is the easiest person to do it to. The second set of people, so we actually made a very conscious effort. I'm going to kind of Squirrel for a moment. That movie Up, Squirrel.
Yep.
So I'm going to chase a squirrel for a minute. What's really cool about where we are at right now in this market is the fact that people have more equity than they have probably ever had in their house right now.
Right.
Because across the country, properties are 20% over in value than they were 6 months ago.
Right.
So right now is such an opportune time to dive in that database and do it, because when people realize the amount of equity they have in it, it could really be a freedom for them. So that's kind of my squirrel moment. So
it's important, because it's not like 2009 when you're delivering bad news. You're delivering good news, right?
That's true. Fantastic. That's true. So who do we deliver them to? It's the easiest one to start with is people on their home anniversaries. The other one is people on your warm list. So if you do not have a warm list, that is an entire another mastermind call that we can do another time. But that is people in your database that have a high probability of moving in the next year. And those are people that have been in their house for more than 5 years. Those are people that might have had an increase in family size. Those are people that now are working from home and they have 3 kids in the house too. So you've got to determine in your database, and there is a method to the madness that you can do a move score for people. But look in your database and see who's going through pain and pleasure. Ideal people to do these for.
Got it.
Another set of people to do this for would be your neighbors. We had one of our neighbors had a yard sale across the street this last weekend. So I go over there and I'm hanging out and talking, all the neighbors coming around, and then they start talking about the market. You know, they know you're in real estate. That just happens. Right. So I'm doing 2 real estate reviews for 2 of the neighbors in the yard sale this week.
Wow. Wow.
And I just mentioned
yeah, tell us the conversation, because I think a lot of people get hung up on conversation. How did that happen? What did you say?
So here's, so another great person to do that to, everybody knows you're in real estate. Right. So when you're at the grocery store and that person comes up to you and says, hey, how's the market? Gotta love that. How's the market? Right. So the biggest question is, how do you answer that? So the average realtor out there, when they say, how's the market? They start to spew every stat that they've ever heard about the market. Correct?
Right. Yep, absolutely.
So what I do is when somebody asks me about the market, I throw it right back at it. And I'll say, what have you heard about the market?
Question with a question. Master salesperson.
Exactly. So when you ask that question, you're just peeling back the onion to dig a little bit to see what part of the market are they interested in. And I would say 90% of the time when you peel that onion back, they basically want to know, what is the value of my house in the neighborhood? There you go. That's really why I'm asking the question, right? Yeah. So I throw that question back. What have you heard about the market? And they'll go, well, we've heard that it's moving really fast, multiple offers. I go, so I'll ask back, well, what do you think about that? So then they'll go, well, I'm wondering what's going on with my house and my neighborhood. And, this one was for sale and it moved in 3 days. And I'll go, you know what? You're right. It's a fast moving market. I would love to just put something together for you and bring it by, so you got a pretty good educated guess as to what the value is in your home. Do you see that it's valuable? And you just got to put that in your own words. Yeah. Yeah. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. So I might be weird, but I practice this in the mirror. Yeah, you get it done. You just practice it in the mirror, because Lord knows Jim doesn't want me walking in his office role playing with me, so I role play with myself. Well, you're obviously being very successful with it, so that's working. Yes, yes. So who do we do them to? Pretty much anybody that's curious about how the market is, but I would start with anniversaries, then work on warm people in your database, or people that are coming to you and inviting you into the real estate market. Another great sector, and this is one that's untapped a lot, and that is business networking people. So part of a Rotary Club, make a point when you go to Rotary, sit next to a new person every time. Right. When you sit next to that new person each time, invite them for coffee next week. Go meet them for coffee, bring this real estate review with them, because I will tell you, the minute you sit down with another person, they're going to ask you what's going on with the market. Right. Well,
Now,
funny thing.
I have this amazing product I can give it. So let me ask you this. Do you, and maybe you're going to get to this and I apologize for getting ahead of you, but do you talk about the fact that you're doing these for clients on social media?
No, actually, I have not.
So, I mean, I think that would be like a really interesting thing to do is to say, hey, I'm doing some property reviews this week. Have you ever heard of that? And, go into that. I mean, what a great video, right? Where you could talk about that. I think that'd be really interesting. And then maybe you get some more people that say, hey, I want to raise my hand. I want one of those.
And what might be really cool too is if you've got, so we all have those people in our sphere that are our cheerleaders, correct?
Right.
Now I do these real estate reviews for my cheerleaders every year.
Mm-hmm.
How cool would it be if one of them would be willing to do a 30-second or 10-second testimonial on what you just did for them?
Love it. Yeah. What a great
slap that out there.
Mm-hmm.
So you got me thinking now.
Yeah, there you go.
So we've kind of talked about, what it looks like. Who would we do them to? And I touched a little bit on the setup, but there is a way to set these up. So the biggest piece is, if I could give any advice to anybody, just start. Just do it. Start somewhere. Don't waste the time trying to figure out to get the perfect presentation together and to find the perfect person in your database. Just start somewhere. Start and do it with someone. Choose a person, give them a call. And the way that kind of looks for me when I reach out with a phone call is I always lead with Ford. And anybody that's been in, they call it all sorts of different things, but basically what Ford means is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So when you are reaching out to set up for this real estate review, lead with a Ford call, because you don't want to come across as I'm trying to sell something to you. You want to come across as you're in my database and I really care about you. So let's talk a little bit about your family. Let's talk about how are the kids doing now that they're going back to school? Did you do anything fun for spring break? So you lead with that Ford first.
Yep.
And then you go, well, the purpose for my call today is a part of the service that I provide is I like to offer up an opportunity to come by and come see you. I want to see the family. And I've prepared a packet of information for you on what the value of your home is. So when can we get together next week? I want to see you and the kids. So that's kind of what that setup looks like.
So I like what you're saying, because we always talk about elevating relationships to friendships. And when you talk to the top agents in this industry, every single one of them doesn't refer to their clients as clients. They refer to them as friends. Like I listed my friend's house, I'm selling my friend a house. So it goes right along with it. Do you ever get pushback and they say, well, I'm not interested in selling? Do they say that to you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What do you say to that?
I'm not interested in listing your house. And I'll throw it right back in that sense of, yeah, okay, I'm not interested in listing your house. I just miss you guys. And I want to come see you and the kids and see what you've done to the house.
Right. Love it.
So I kind of just, I push it right back. Do I now, I don't think anybody's ever said that to me probably in the last 3 years. And I don't know if it is because I'm just so used to doing them. Yeah. That I don't come across that way. I'm not nervous. So on that entire thought process there, I want to touch on something you talked about with friends.
Sure.
So if all you do is call your database and you're just in relationship with them with Ford calls, that's exactly what you're going to be as a friend. Yeah. And you know what's going to happen? The other realtor that's 3 doors down here is going to list the property. Right. So it's our job to be their friend, but in that same sense, provide value.
Good point. There's a lot of realtors who only are friends, but don't cross over to being the realtor in the relationship, which
exactly.
Great advice. Great advice.
And if all you do is call people and talk to them about real estate, they're going to see you as a salesperson.
Right. Right. It's a mix. It's got to mix it up.
So it is a very delicate balance. And that's what I think I love so much about these real estate reviews, because I spend much time touching people in my database as a friend. But this is that piece where I go, yeah, I'm a friend, but you know what? I kick ass as a realtor. And this is what I provide.
And I think one thing that this does too is that agents are so caught up in instant gratification and buying leads and having leads served up to them. But this is a long-term game, right? This is a long-term play. It's not like you're going to go there with the expectation of taking a listing, because you're not going to get it most of the time. It's more about adding value, right?
Yep. And what I'm going to spend the last part of our time together on is the questions that you ask, that what you're going to do before you leave, and the questions you ask are going to plant the seeds that if there's a possibility that they're going to list or that they want to sell, you're going to plant seeds to where they're going to go from curiosity to interest and to desire really quickly.
Right.
Really, really quickly.
Love it.
So you choose your recipient, you make the call. Remember, when you're making the call, it is to relationship first. It's not about the real estate review. It's about relationship. If you lead with the real estate review, you're going to get the pushback.
Yeah.
So lead with that relationship. The afterthought, I mean, the whole point is you just want to get in relationship and get to their house. Those are the two biggies. So preferred option is that you get the appointment and you go by and you go see them and you bring this information to them.
Got it.
COVID's a little challenging. It was very challenging for us last year.
Yep.
You have other options in delivering this. So ideal option is you're meeting with them face to face, either at their house or for coffee.
Right.
If that is, they're not comfortable with that, you could offer up to Zoom them. Let's get together 30 minutes on Zoom. I'd love to see your face. Let's chat. Let's catch up. Third option is, you know what? Let's make an appointment for next Wednesday in the evening when you get off work, and I'm going to drop it in the mail to you. So when you get the package, we can just go over it when I call you on the phone.
Perfect.
Option A, B, and C. The one thing you don't ever want to do is email it. And the reason being, emails get deleted, and you know what? Don't even bother doing it if you're going to email it.
Gotcha. Love it.
So now let's say we got the appointment. It's time to connect. So most important thing to remember, it's about relationship. It is, it's not so much about you giving them the information. It's about showing up and asking the questions.
Right.
Asking questions and listening. When I meet at their house, usually what I will do is I'll ask for a tour. Hey, you know what? You guys bought, especially the anniversary tours. People love to show off what they've done since they bought the house. They just do.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's awesome. If they got kids, sometimes I'll bring a little treat for the kids, or whatever you are comfortable with doing. So I preferably meet at their house, like to ask for a tour. If I know them really well, sometimes I'll bring them a bottle of wine or whatever it is.
I was going to have to ask you that. Do you come with a gift every time?
No, well, yes and no. So like right now, our Popeye is shopping bags.
So you bring that?
I'll bring a shopping bag.
Sure. Got it.
I mean, silly stuff. In the summertime, we give out sunblock. I'll bring sunblock. Like that's really a gift. Right. We did hand sanitizer. We did hand sanitizer and masks for COVID. Well, I might bring that. Right. So the point is to show up, get in forward with them, ask those forward conversations, family, occupation, learn about them, get in relationship with them. Naturally, the course will come to real estate.
Sure.
It will naturally, they will invite you into that real estate. When they invite you into it, and what I'd like to do is share screen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you how basic my presentation is. Granted, I work with a phenomenal real estate company that offers all this amazing marketing materials. And for this, you would not know it.
But it still works. So basic.
It does. It works.
Right? Yeah.
So this is I do have a cover letter, and I can provide this to Jim after the call. It's just a basic letter. Awesome. As you can see, this is just the basic RPR report. I don't know if you guys use this, but NAR, it's a free product.
So it's NARRPR.com for those of you that haven't been on it. Yep.
NARRPR.com. You just put in the property address. I tell it to run a mini property report, and this is what spits out. It just gives them, and so I'll usually sit down with them and go, nothing's changed. You still got plus 2,200 square feet, built in 2006. and I'll go based on just real quick. This is your estimated value, somewhere between 530 and 560,000.
Now, and just so everybody knows, you didn't do any, you just did a radius, right? And it just kicked it out.
Yep, I just went to RPR. RPR automatically kicks this out.
So just so you know, RPR is our version of Zillow.
It is.
It's the realtor organization's automated value system.
And it runs off, because you have to put in your MLS. It runs off MLS numbers, so it's more accurate than Zillow.
Way more accurate.
So the other piece I like, so I'll touch on, you know what, this is the range of your value. And then I will go down to, and this right here, I'll go, if you're wondering what's sold in your neighborhood, this is just a 1/4 mile radius of what's pending and what's sold. That's where these numbers up here come from. And then I will go down here and I'll go, this is just the appreciation stats out of a product that I use called Focus First. This just shows how appreciation's happened. And then I will go down here and I go, I just want to confirm that you guys owe somewhere around this amount on the property, which this is their last loan they did. And I'll go, so you guys have close to over 200,000 in equity. Great job. They've only been in this house. They've only been in this house for, they bought it in 2019.
I always think that's interesting about RPR too, is that you can see the last mortgage of any homeowner, not just your clients, which is really cool. But I think that's shocking to a lot of people that that's public record when you show it to them too. They're like, well, how do you know that?
Well, so put it in perspective. In this house, I just did their real estate review in February. And they bought it for 410,000. It's worth 550 now. So
wow.
Holy cow.
They're loving that.
Well, that's where they were at. They were sitting there and they were like, holy cow. And that right there is the extent of my real estate review.
That's it.
It took me, in fact, I have to confess, I did not even put it together. My assistant runs the RPR report, gives it to me. I do the quick radius search and put it together. So basically it takes me 5 minutes to put together.
I think it's such good advice you're giving too about not emailing it. I wouldn't have thought of that, of being kind of a throwaway when you email it. So putting together a nice booklet is really smart.
Even if you mail it, then put it in that nice booklet, they don't throw it away.
Right. They're going to hold on to it.
So here's the key thing. So we go through this. It takes me all of maybe 10, 15 minutes to go through it. And I'm asking them. I'll ask them questions. Did you realize you had that much equity in the house in 1 year?
Right.
I mean, you guys made $140,000 in this house in 1 year. Wow. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So then I'll ask just a few leading questions. So they look like this. So I'll go, I love your house, but are you living in the house you want to be living in right now?
Love it.
I'll ask a question. If you could change anything about your house, what would you change about it? And a lot of times, I mean, I've had some people go, wow, I have 100,000 in equity in it. Well, I want to remodel my kitchen. I go, well, they have this thing called a HELOC loan.
Yeah, go get it.
Here's 2 different banks I would go talk to if I was going to do a HELOC loan. So what are you doing now? You are really shining as a real estate advisor.
Yeah.
You're just reiterating, I'm not here to get you to list your house, but I'm here to provide value to you because you didn't realize you had this.
Yeah.
Other great questions. And this one you pegged on in the meeting.
Yeah.
If you could live anywhere, where would that be?
I love it. It's a great question. So easy.
It is a great question. Another great one I love is, what are your long-term plans for this house? So all we're doing here is we're asking questions.
Go back to the first question. Yeah. Tell me the first question again.
The first question is, do you like the house you're living in?
I think that is such a classic, great question. Do you like the house you're living in? Because every single person that's living in any home, they're always thinking about, not quite right. I wish I had this or that or the other, right? There's always going to be some complaint, right? That's why everybody sells. At some point, it just outweighs like, I'm going to finally make the move. Great question.
So one of them that we just did, in fact, I just did pictures on the house yesterday. I asked them this question. Do you like the house you're living in? And they both kind of look at you and I go, and so then I just go to the next question. Well, what is it that you would do? Yeah. And they said, well, we really can't fix it. We have 2 young boys and we have no backyard.
Yeah.
I go, perfect. Oh, So then I go a little bigger than that, and I'll go, if you could wave a magic wand and live anywhere, where would you live?
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to get over to East Medford.
Right.
You know, and so I just start going and digging. So now what happens is they were in curiosity when I showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they saw their equity, which this couple has $150,000 in equity that they've gained in 3.5 years.
Right.
So now they're in curiosity. I'm having them wave that magic wand. I watched them go from curiosity to desire in just that 30 minutes we were sitting there. And I we left. We ended the evening. Lo and behold, the next day I have the voicemail that says, well, thanks a lot. Heather's straightening the house, so you better refine your figures.
So I have a question. So of your 13 transactions, 9 are from property reviews. How many are they like what this couple you're describing now that just they come over, they have an epiphany, they're like, you know what, we do want to sell? Or how many of them are just kind of reigniting the relationship and they now send you a referral? I mean,
I would say, okay, so I track my stats. So when I do these real estate reviews, if I do them face to face, I have a 48% return right now that I get a referral.
Wow. Within what period? Like a year?
Oh, usually within 60 days.
Wow. That's incredible. Okay.
And it may be a referral for a buyer or seller, or it could be a referral for another real estate review.
For somebody else they know.
Because here's what I'm finding, and this is just from the start of the year. We made a very concentrated effort in January to start really looking hard in our warm list and doing these real estate reviews because we saw what was happening with the market and what was going on with equity.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the perfect time. You have the ripe apples on the tree. You better start picking them. So what we're finding is that when we do this for somebody, it's that, I don't know, any of you have heard of the reticular activating system, but it's like when you're looking for a new car, I want to buy a Lexus SUV. You got to love it. I pull into the parking lot my first week here and there's 2 of them in the parking lot. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's the same exact thing with these real estate reviews. People get them, they're excited about them, and they just start talking. Did you know I have $150,000 in equity in my house? Well, how did you know that? Well, Shelly came over and did a real estate review.
So it becomes top of mind for everybody in their circle, right?
Yes.
So, and one thing we even haven't, you touched on with all of this is that this costs absolutely nothing, which is incredible for all the kind of marketing that we're all trying to do and all this other stuff that we're trying to do. 0 cost, super high return. And your return is 1,000,000% because it didn't cost you anything, right?
So I'll give you the examples because after I had that 9 out of 13, and that was just since we made the move in February. So since about February 19th, we put 13 escrow, 9 out of 13 came from these. So one of them was when I asked the question, if you could live anywhere, where would that be?
Yeah.
Single gentleman. I helped him find that house when he was going through the divorce. He's been in it 3 years. He now has a new girlfriend. Him and his girlfriend want to buy a house together. I sold 2 houses. They bought 1.
Yeah. So 3 transactions out of that 1. Yep. Love it. Love it.
Another question is I asked another couple, if you could live anywhere, where would that be? They've only been in their house just at 2 years. They realized they have over 100,000 in equity. He was fed up with Oregon. So when we did this, if you could live anywhere, he says, well, I'd like to live in Idaho. I'm like, wow, that came out of nowhere. The very next day he goes into his company. He's transferred.
Wow.
2 weeks later into Idaho, and their house closes next week.
Unbelievable. What are the odds? Huh.
So the other one is the one I just talked about with the backyard. So we have another couple that they have 2 kids and they have adopted 3 kids from a family member. I didn't realize this had happened. When I saw that happened, I put them on the real estate review. We went by to go see them. And of course I asked that question, do you like the house you're living in? Well, heck no, I need 5 bedrooms now. Well, that was a no-brainer.
Easy. Yep.
Yep. The other one was the same exact thing with Idaho. I don't know what the deal is with everybody moving to Idaho.
Everybody's going to Idaho.
But same exact thing. That was the one where I just showed the real estate review, my example. They're moving to Idaho. And the other one was very interesting. I asked them the question, what are your long-term plans for this house?
Mm-hmm.
And she had expressed me, her husband had just retired.
Right.
And she was getting a little irritated because he was out fishing and playing golf and having fun and getting after life. And she's still working.
Yeah.
And she said to me, my long-term plans for this house is to get away from it because I cannot retire. This house payment is too much.
Love it.
So we sold that house and they downsized.
Downsize, yeah.
But every single one of these was not one, I'm sitting here looking at this list. None of these at the point in time when I was doing that real estate review, did they say, I want to list now?
Right, right.
It was all after the fact. But what it did is I planted that seed and helped them go from curiosity to interest to desire and then to commitment.
They moved up the ladder, right? And you started, you gave them the ladder to move up.
Yeah.
Kind of the way to get them going.
Well, yeah. And the crazy thing is people don't realize how much equity they have in a house and what they can do with that equity. And it may not be that they go buy the next house.
Right.
But it may be that they put a HELOC on, they pull money out and they remodel, they go buy an investment property. There's just so much that goes with it.
So before we start wrapping up, I want to give anybody that's watching on Facebook or live with us here in the Zoom an opportunity to ask a question. So just put it in either chat and we'll put it to Shelly. We're covering a lot of ground, so maybe there won't be any, but if there are, we want to make sure we answer those. But what you're bringing up with several of those transactions you just mentioned, which I think is interesting, is there was some life change behind their decision, but they hadn't quite connected it to real estate. And I know one of the things that when we did Ninja installation twice for our company here, that they talked about was using Facebook and Instagram as a kind of CRM in and of itself, and that you're watching for life change. And that's very interesting, kind of another aspect of this. I guess if you saw life change, that would be another trigger maybe to think, maybe I should offer them a property review, right? Well,
and I love what you're talking about right here. And I would love to have you have me back.
Yeah.
Because I have a process to do with your database to identify, and it's a very probable way to do things with your database. You give them what we call a move score. And the higher the move score is, the more changes they're going through in life, which is the higher the probability that they're going to move in the next year.
Love it. It's got predictive analytics.
Yep. And we know from NAR stats that the average household moves right now every 5 years. So if that's the case, then 20% of your database is going to move next year.
That's crazy when you think about that.
It's your job to figure out who are the 20% that are going to move.
Right. Otherwise, you're going to lose them because there's every single person in our database is in 10 other realtors database.
Yep.
So we think we have a lock on them, but we do not. And an interesting study that just came out recently that shows that there are more realtors in the country than there are listings. So we have this like super hyper competitive market that we're in.
Yep.
We got to make sure we own our own database. So it's such an important conversation. So I think we've been doing a good job because we must have answered all the questions as we went. But Shelly, thank you so much. And we will definitely have you back on this program. And she's just been a wealth. We've recorded this, so if you want to circle back and watch it again, I've been taking a lot of notes, and I know a lot of you have as well. So go back and watch it again and take all those great notes.
Hey, Jim.
Oh, good. I got a question, Erica. Yes.
Yeah. So I was taking notes, but I missed one little particle of information.
Sure.
First, you call past clients on their anniversary. Then the second people you call are on the warm list, and that's people in their database that have a high probability of moving in the next year. And she gave some examples, like people were increased in family size, maybe they're looking to downsize. I wasn't sure what kind of the description within that, the high probability of moving. If she could.
So I would say probably the biggest one that I'm experiencing right now, and that is the evolution of people working from home now. And that's kind of where we steered a lot toward it, because if you've got people working from home and you have homeschoolers from home, houses are getting really small. So examples of people that are probably going to want to move are going to be people where their houses are getting too small. They probably need to move to a bigger house. It's also people, if people are going through a divorce, I tell you, they're number one on your list. Just saying. People that have had an increase in family size, and that doesn't have to be just children. That can be adult parents moving home. That can be adult kids coming home from college. I had that one happen this last year. So,
and then, like myself, my kids are all leaving the house. So you have to
Yep.
watch for college graduations and high school graduations. I think would be another good example too. Love it. Erica,
Now,
hopefully that
in
answers your
terms of the divorce, I find my friends on Facebook, like, they totally don't mention it.
Nope.
So is that something that would just come out from having a forward conversation with them on the phone? Like, oh, I didn't realize that. I mean, that.
Yep. Well,
Okay.
and okay, so things to clue in on Facebook, and it's kind of funny. If you see their status, used to say married, and then all of a sudden they don't have a status up anymore, there's a clue that they need a phone call.
Okay.
If all of a sudden their spouse's pictures are no longer on their Facebook page, there's another clue.
Yeah. So you got to dig a little deeper for that one.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Erica.
Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. Thank you. I really like this because we call it a real estate checkup. But it's not nearly as kind of refined and as thought through. It's a little bit more, business. I like this approach a lot more, where you do start off with it being a very friendly phone call instead of just cutting right to the chase. Because I've tried like another script, and I'll tell you, it's like they get so turned off by it, and the last thing you want to do is upset your friends and get them, mad at you.
You don't want to be a salesperson with your friends. You don't want to be salesy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really like the kernels here that I picked up in terms of the delivery of it and how it kind of comes around to it. Although I will say that I do have some friends who, when I forward them, it's all about them. They never even ask about the real estate.
It always is. All right. Thanks for coming in to this program, Erica. Thank you for all questions. Shelly, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom. And we will definitely have her back on the program. You guys all have a fantastic Friday and a fantastic weekend.